Welcome to my January 2025 on the latest current account offers and news. And let's kick off with those switch-in deals, the ones that get you free cash for moving your bank. Now, the ones that are available right now have all been available for a while, so I'm not going to go into the details again of exactly what you need to do to get each offer. I'll let you go and find that information either in a separate individual analysis over at becleverwithyourcash.com or in the videos or the podcasts where we have gone into those details before. But let's kick off with one which I will come back to later a little bit. This is from Nationwide. They are still offering £175 for switching in. Now, what's good to remember about this one is that it's not just one offer available to you. You can get it on your personal account, £125 if you switch over if you're eligible. But unlike most other switching deals, in fact, I don't think any other bankers offer this other than Nationwide, is you can also get another £175 if you switch in a joint account. So if you're a couple, that's potentially 3 lots of £175, so £525 on the table for you. It's definitely worth a look there. And as I said, I'm going to come back to Nationwide offers in a moment. Another offer that is still running is from First Direct. That is also £175 that is available. And the other one is from Santander, which is £150 you can get for switching to them. Again, full details of all those offers and how to get them in those separate detailed analyses. Looking ahead to this year, could we see more? Will we see things? Well, it's hard to know which banks are going to offer these promotions. Some of them are pretty regular. In fact, some of them run most months of the year. Some of them, you know, they're going to come back 2 or 3 times a year. And sometimes you just don't know. But if we do look back at the last couple of years, I would expect to see something from Lloyds and NatWest by the middle of February. Again, no guarantees, but I would expect to see something there. I'll obviously update you when those happen. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on those, you can always sign up to our newsletter, becleverwithyourcash.com/newsletter, where every week on a Thursday, we will send you everything that we've been covering, and those switching deals, we cover them as soon as they are announced. I'd also possibly expect to see something from Co-op and TSB because they tend to sort of be around for more often than not. But again, no guarantees. Whether we see anything from the likes of HSBC or Halifax or Virgin Money or any others, I really don't know. And of course, those Nationwide, First Direct and Santander offers, they could go at any time. But that's where we are right now anyway, in sort of mid-late January 2025. In terms of other offers, a quick one to share with you around Monzo. Monzo are letting their customers join for the first time within the app something called the 1p Savings Challenge. You've probably heard of this already. It's been popular for years. A lot of time it's a principle that people do and they tick off every day when they've been saving this money. And the simple idea is on day 1 when you start it, you put 1 pence into a savings account. On day 2, 2 pence, and you keep doing that all the way through the year. And if you do that every single day for a year, keep increasing it for each day, you're going to end up with just under £668 set aside. So it's a nice idea. I'm not always the biggest fan of savings challenges, but certainly if you have struggles in terms of putting money aside and you want to be doing something, it's not a bad bet. And Monzo will let you do it automatically. So you literally click a few buttons and every day the money will move out of your main account into a separate pot. So it's a nice way to potentially get some extra savings into your account. So there are ways I prefer for auto savings, but certainly if you already have a Monzo account, it's certainly worth a look. Now, in addition to this though, why am I talking about under offers? There is a prize draw connected to this. If you open it up before the 31st of January 2025, then you will be able to enter a prize draw that could win you 10 grand by the time you complete it in 365 days. To be eligible for that, you do need to have the full amount in by the end. But if you have missed a day or two or you've taken a break for the saving, putting it into the account, there is a feature where you can top it up. So potentially you could just add money at a later date. Again, it's one prize of 10 grand. A lot of people were doing this. You probably won't win. But if you are taking part of it anyway, and you want to do the 1p Savings Challenge, this is probably a better way of doing it because you never quite know, do you? Now, if you are a Max, Perks or Extra customer, so these are the paid accounts or the newer paid accounts in Monzo, then you will also be entered in to win £100 prizes every single month. There are 10 £100 every month, but that is only for Max, Perks and Extras customers. Now, again, if you do want to take part in this after the 31st of January, sadly, you won't be entered into those draws. And in fact, if you aren't a Max, Perks or Extra customer, then you won't be able to do it at all. You can only sign up to it, start it again in the app after the 31st January if you do have those offers. And incidentally as well, I know we're talking about current accounts, not savings. I will give you a savings update next week. But incidentally, if you do have the Max Perks or Extras account, you can also earn interest as part of this 1p challenge. In the other accounts, it will go into a pot which doesn't earn any interest at all. Now, I said I'd come back to Nationwide, and this is to give you a kind of a heads up. You might remember for the last couple of years, Nationwide has given, it's a building society, which means it's owned by its customers, which means it doesn't have shareholders. So when it makes a profit, a lot of that money at profit goes into giving its customers better rates, whether that's savings rates or mortgages. But for the last couple of years, it has also given something called a fairer share payment to some customers. It's worth £100. Now, there's no guarantee that it is going to come back in 2025. It's looking very likely it will be because they've had a good year so far. But it doesn't mean if it does come back, it doesn't mean it'll be £100. It doesn't mean it'll be working exactly the same way. However, if we assume that it will come back in the same way with the same eligibility criteria, then you're going to want to make sure you may take action now. If not in January, then definitely in February and March. So telling you this with the big caveat that it could be completely different. But if you don't do these things and the rules are the same, then you absolutely won't be eligible for that money. And a lot of people will be angry about that. So this is how you can potentially avoid that and make sure you get the cash. So again, based on the rules from 2023 and 2024, this is what you would need to do. So first of all, you need to have a current account with Nationwide, and that will need to be open on the 31st of March. That's what it's been the previous years. So if you've got one now and you're thinking of switching away, or you're thinking of maybe waiting to open one up, then obviously make sure you don't do that. Make sure you have got the account on the 31st of March. Then depending on which type of account you have, there are certain things you need to do. Now, if you have the Flex Plus account, which is their packaged account, which comes with insurance, you don't need to do anything other than pay that monthly fee to maintain the account. Now, sadly, that one did go up in December from, I think it was £13, it's now £18. It's become a lot more expensive. Previously, I'd said to you guys as a hack, you could open this account, you get the insurances, and you'd also be eligible for this offer. It's still the case, but you'll obviously be paying more money for this. So if you're not taking advantage of those insurance policies, you might want to change your account and take on some of the other requirements from some of the other accounts. Let's talk about those now. If you have the Flex 1, the Flex Student, or the Flex Graduate account, in the previous years, you had to have received at least one payment into the account or made one payment out of the account during March. Okay, so you've got a bit of time for that one, and it's a very simple one. It's just one payment in or out. So that's going to be very easy for you to do. Just use a debit card once or transfer some money in. You'll be sorted. That's the Flex 1, the Flex Student, or the Flex Graduate. But most of you are going to have one of these accounts, the Flex account, the Flex Direct, or potentially the Flex Basic. But the Flex account is the standard one, and the Flex Direct is a popular one, which offers 5% interest right now and 1% cashback on some spending. If you have those accounts, and this is why I'm telling you about it now in January, if the rules are the same, in 2 of the 3 months of January, February, or March this year, you must have received at least £500 into your current account. Transfers in from other Nationwide accounts do not count. Plus, you need to have made at least 2 payments out of your account, again, in 2 of those 3 months, or you've made 10 payments from the account in 2 of the 3 months. So you can either do the money in and money out, or just the 10 payments to the account. Again, this is just roughly what it is. I have got more detail. I'm telling you a lot of information in an article over at becleveryourcash.com. Again, just reiterating, this is based on previous rules. It could change, but I don't want you to miss out if that is the case. But that's not all you have to do. You also need to do one of the following. You need to have either a personal Nationwide cash savings account with more than £100 on it in one or more accounts. It doesn't be a single account, you have more than one of them on any day in March. So again, you've got a bit of time for that one, but you've got to make sure not just putting the money in and out of the current account, you also need to make sure you will have money in a savings account in March, £100 or more, or you can have a Nationwide mortgage with at least £100 on it as of the 31st of March 2025. Again, when the rules are announced properly, if they are doing it, and we expect that to be in May, we'll know for certain if you're eligible, and there'll be ways for you to check that. And I will give you, again, I will cover this again when this is announced, if it is announced in May. But it's your heads up now, if you want to take advantage of it, make sure you do something, if you need to do something, in January, February, or March. Okay, they're the offers for January. Let's quickly take you through some news headlines that are worth knowing about as well when it comes to current accounts and banking. First of all, if you have a Halifax reward account and you're taking advantage of the hacks that I've shared with you potentially in order to trigger that £5 reward or free cinema ticket every single month, then you might be concerned to see that this month so far, it seems many customers, if not all customers, it's showing up as not tracking. That £500 spend is showing as not tracking when you look in the app. Now, I had a few that are shown on my accounts, and we've had sort of 4 or 5 people already sort of post in our Facebook group about this as well. So obviously a lot of you are concerned about it. Now, this isn't the first time it has happened, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. I first covered something similar in 2023, and it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times since then. And normally this is kind of tracked in the background. It's just something at the front end that's showing, it's not showing, but they do know that you've made those spend on your debit card, that £500, and you should get that £5 reward early next month. So I would say don't worry about it too much right now. It may well be by the time the end of the month comes through, they've updated it in the app and it tells you, yep, don't worry, you're on course to get your £5. If not, just keep an eye and see if you get that payment in next month. And if you don't, then contact Halifax and say, look, what's going on? I've done this every month. I've not changed anything I do. We will also contact the Halifax press office just to see if there has been any change. And if they do get back to us with any details that you do need to know about, if you do need to do anything, we'll update the article on becleverwithyourcash.com that goes with this update. So we'll give you a bit more information there. And obviously, if there is a bigger issue, I can tell you about it next month. But main thing is there, don't worry too much. Also talking about Halifax, Lloyds and Bank of Scotland have announced that they are going to allow customers to use any of their branches for their banking because they're already connected anyway as a bank. But what it would mean is if you are a Lloyds customer, you can go to Halifax and do anything you need to do there. So in lots of ways, that is good news. If you've only got one of those banks near you, but you're not a customer with them, then it means you're going to have access to them. So that is probably good news longer term. Of course, it will mean that we're likely to see, if you have got both a Lloyds and a Halifax, and a Bank of Scotland or a mix of any of them, likely they reduce it just to one in your area, in your town. So we could well see more closures coming up as a result of this. Quick one as well here on Coventry Building Society and its purchase of Co-op Bank. We knew it was going ahead. It being approved is finally being completed at the start of the year. If you are a customer with either of those, the main thing is don't worry, nothing is changing for now. And in fact, they're probably going to carry on with similar products and the same brands for a couple of years yet. And when it comes to that financial services compensation scheme protection, that's still going to be separate as well. Although I'd imagine if you've got more than 85k combined in both of those, that's a lot of money anyway to having in those particular banks and building societies. But broadly speaking, nothing to worry about right now. Train 212 next. Although it was extended, they have finally reduced the cashback on its debit card from 1.5% to 0.5%. So broadly speaking, I don't think it's worth using this Trading 212 debit card anymore at that rate. Chase will give you 1%, much easier to sort of manage and use as well. So if you are looking for a debit card for cashback, then definitely be looking at Chase instead. They have introduced Trading 212, have introduced roundups on there, which is possibly, again, talking about auto savings options, but again, don't think it's worth it. And if you do auto save with Chase as well, which you can do, and roundups, then that gets 5% interest, which is comparable to what you would be getting at Trading 212 anyway. And finally, back in November, I told you about YouGov Connections. This was the replacement for YouGov Finance, which had been a very lucrative way for many of us to get some extra cash by sharing our banking data. Well, YouGov Connections isn't as good, but still worth a look, I think, for many of you. You can get £55 potentially over a year by connecting 3 different current accounts to this app, again, sharing your banking data. When I told you about it in November, it didn't look like it was available to many people. You had to be invited for it. I think now it's available to everyone. So that's the update. If you have got a YouGov account, go into the app, hit the little menu button and see if that connections tab is there, and hopefully you can connect your accounts. Bear in mind, obviously, you are sharing your data. It's up to you whether you want to do that or not for 55 quid, but I'll leave that with you. My name's Andy Webb. Don't forget to head to becleverwithyourcash.com/banks for all the latest bank switching deals, and check out these videos here for more ways to make the most of your money.